Hello out there. It's the end of the season for the MCC. We've just crowned a new champion. We've just crowned a new Whedon winner. Here we are. Let's get to it for this week's MCC News. I am your host, once again, your 5-time MCC champion, Alan Morrow. Now, let's get to it. New champion thing. Let's see who it is. Our Stevie Bowl winner, Lee. Congratulations. Woo! Congratulations, Lee. First-time champion. A perennial gutter of a fantasy football player. So this is a big occasion for you. Big enough that you get a second confetti drop. So, Lee, who has dominated all season long, only lost once all season, who faced the number 2 seed Will in the playoffs. He overcame all of his own horrible start decisions. Just about every positional player that he had a choice to start, he made the wrong decision, but still came out on top. So Lee won 86.6 to 75.88, a very low-scoring championship game. Actually, our lowest one on record, beating out actually last year's championship game where James crushed me, where I didn't even break 60 points. All my other players either sat out or just tanked that championship game. But this is the first time ever that we had both teams finish under 100 points in the championship game. Like I said, Lee just about made the wrong start decision every possible way. He started Dak Prescott that scored 22 points, had Lamar on his bench that scored 41. He started Rachaad White, Derrick Henry, that scored 6.6 and 4.2 points. On his bench, he had Pachenko that scored 26 and Najee Harris that scored 24. Wide receivers, Diggs, 5.1. He had DeMarcus Robinson at 10.2 on his bench. Even for a flex spot, Mike Evans, 8.5. He could have played Gus Edwards at 10.8 points. Even at tight end, Jake Ferguson, 5.3. He had Isaiah Likely at 17.2 on his bench. His bench players scored 129 points this week, while his starters scored 62 of those positional players. Just a freak coincidence here. Luckily, it didn't burn him with Will struggling on his own. Will's biggest thing was going into the 4 o'clock on the Sunday Night Football game. Lee was done playing, had 86 points. Will was down by 29 points. He had Travis Kelce, Ja'Marr Chase, and Ty Chandler all left to play. You would think all 3 of them could break double-digit points up to 10 points and get him the victory, but Travis Kelce finished 3.1. I think Chase only had 5 points, and Ty Chandler was around there too. So, we'll end up losing by 10 points. A heartbreaking victory. The second time Will has lost in the championship game in our league. Better luck next time. The biggest difference in this matchup with the players that started was Lee's kicker and defense scored a combined 24 points, while Will's kicker and defense scored a combined 2.12 points. Will's kicker had 0 points. He played the Los Angeles Rams kicker, 0 points, cut by the Rams a couple days later. And also the thing that sunk Will, unfortunately, he made a couple big trades towards the end of the season, getting Josh Jacobs for Puka. Jacobs was out for the last semifinals and finals weekend for him. He didn't get any points for him. And the other one was trading Goddard and Trey McBride for Dalton Kincaid, and then trading Dalton Kincaid and a second-round draft pick for Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce kind of just laid some duds for him in these last few weeks too. But hey, finished in second place. Not horrible. Gets a payout. Good job for him. With that, the other matchups on the week, finishing third place was James beating Tyra, then Jeremy beating Gabe in the 9-10 matchup. So there you have it. Once again, Lee, congratulations. All season long, you've dominated. Really nice to see you come up on top. He was original commissioner about 5 years ago, gave the commissioning duties to Will. And lo and behold, Lee is starting to turn around the last few years and getting better finishes each and every year to a championship year here. So congratulations to you. And that brings us to And the Whedon goes to Binky, Adam Rubinski. Congratulations, kind of. Finishing from third last year to last place this year. Of course, he didn't have a lot of draft assets going in it. You lost to Doug. Doug with 118.8 to your 91.36. Also, more congratulations to Doug to stay out of the Whedon. Doug is a former Whedon winner. He hasn't had the best fantasy luck, but he really, even all season, he didn't have the best fantasy luck every year. Even this year, he's the one that got hit with injuries early. J.K. Dobbins, Mike Williams, we've gone through that other times. Made even a couple trades. He traded away Travis Kelce and got Dalton Kincaid and some draft picks. He traded for DeAndre Swift, who started to struggle for him. Last couple weeks, he's been a little better. But because of that, kind of making those moves, trying to stay afloat, obviously it wasn't enough to get him into the playoffs, but at least it was enough to get him out of the Whedon. So congratulations to you, Doug. Really happy and nice to see. With that, let's go to our next topic. Final standings review. So now that we have all of our final standings, we've gone in there. There's been a lot of work done on the back end with some of our commissioner and our former commissioner, Will and Lee, getting our record books stat up correctly. Here at the MCCNews, we've been doing some ourselves. So we've kind of, with the final standings, we kind of created your average placement. Myself, who has 5 championships, it's not that big of a shocker. I have the highest final finish. I average about 4.42 place, which is the best among everybody. Next is Tyre at 4.5, which, funny enough, he would have actually finished tied with me at 4.42 if he would have finished third this season and not fourth. And he's a 2-time champion as well. The next 2 highest place finishes are a little more shocking. Schrader at 5.18 and then Jim at 5.27. Jim is a former champion. Schrader has yet to win. He's been very close many times. The big thing, these two, how their average is ticked up higher, maybe without too many championships, is both of them have never finished in the bottom 3. And there's the only 2 out of all of us that have never finished in the bottom 3 of the standings. So they're usually always up there. They're usually very competitive. And it shows. Binky in his 4 years, his average finish is 6th. Jeremy is 6.63 out of 11 years. Then comes Will at 6.42, Gabe at 6.75, and then Cortez at 7. So Cortez, after 12 years, he's done after this year officially. His average finish was 7th. He does finish with a championship. He finishes with a last place finish in that first year. So a lot to be proud of. It's been a good decade plus run for Cortez. James at 7.58 is next. James, who has 3 straight playoff appearances, and that was after 4 straight years in the bottom 3. So that kind of shows James why with such high finishes recently, it's hard to take that average to tick up. Then next is our current champion, Lee, at 7.75. Once again, Lee in the first about 8 years of this league really struggled to say that he has 5 bottom 2 finishes in this league. Then next is Doug. His average finish is a 9.1. It's tough. He's been in the league for 11 years. He's only made the playoffs 3 times. He's finished 6th all 3 of those years, which means he's lost his first playoff game. Then he's lost the consolation game of the 5-6 place winner. He is 0-6 all time in the playoffs. He's the only member of the MCC who's never won a playoff game or even a playoff consolation game. So there you have it. Some of the other fun stats here. The longest playoff drought currently going is Jeremy and Doug are tied at 3 years. The longest playoff streak is James at 3 years. After, once again, finishing 4 straight years in the bottom 3, he is now turning around and gone 3 straight years in the playoffs with a championship and a 3rd place finish in the most recent 2. The most playoff appearances. I've made the playoffs 8 out of 12 years. Tyra's made the playoffs 8 out of 12 years. And Jim has made the playoffs 8 out of 11 years. Some fun stuff there. Jim has finished 5th 5 different times. With a streak of 4 straight years, he finished 5th place from 2017 to 2020. Compared to myself, who's been in the playoffs 8 times, I have 7 top 3 finishes in the playoffs. Jim kind of makes the playoffs and kind of sputters out quickly there, it looks like, because he's only made it out of the top, past the first round of the playoffs once, where he won the championship. Every other time he's 4th, 5th, or 6th. With there, the all-time playoff streak, longest playoff streak, it actually does belong to Jim. 5 straight years, from 2017 to 2021, where he finished 5th, 4 straight years, and then 4th that next year. Then he missed the playoffs that following. The longest all-time playoff drought is actually from our current champion, Lee. Lee missed the playoffs from 2013, which was our second season, all the way to 2017. I think he had 3 bottom 2 finishes during that time span, too. So some fun facts of our final standings. There you go. And our last topic here today, we got our season endings. Season's over. It's been a fun season. It's been a great season. It started with a draft weekend that had massive storms, power outages, tornadoes even. Tornadoes at the city, our draft city too, in Canton. So it's been started off wild with a wild trade that almost upended the whole season. Luckily, the 2 people involved in there didn't even finish top 3. One missed the playoffs completely. Tyra finished 4th. First-time champion, a first-time Whedon winner in Binky in his 4th year with the league. It's been a great season. It's been a fun season. It's been the start of the MCC News. Now, might say during the offseason, what's happening with the MCC News? Not sure. We may be back for season 2. We're waiting for a renewal. There may be some special reports coming during the offseason. Depends if any good topics, good ideas come in mind. So we'll see. It's very important for you to like, subscribe, click the bell for notify on this video. So if we do drop any more, you get a notification for it. So with that all being said, I've had a blast. I hope you've all had a blast. I hope to see everybody at the end of the year party that's coming up in a few weeks. With that being said, as always, let's go Lions. Fuck the Vikings.